Hi, everybody. Welcome to CX Tech Talks, where we are bridging AI with CX. This series is presented by Zappix, and I'm your host, Valerie McSorley. Each week, we want to talk to industry leaders and really talk about their experience in this booming industry of AI around the contact center. And my special guest today, it's an honor to welcome Mark Brody, president and founder of Brohawk Solutions, and someone that I was thinking about this, that I think we go back, it's got to be like 7 or 8 years now, I think.
It's
That
it's been a minute or two.
it's been a minute. Yeah, it's a great way to put it. So, Mark, tell us about yourself. Tell us how you're seeing AI hit the industry. Tell us what's on your mind.
Oh my gosh. We won't have enough time in the day about what's on my mind, but just saying. So Mark Brody, as Valerie, as you said, I started Brohawk Solutions 6 years and one day ago.
Oh, wow.
So
Happy
yeah.
anniversary.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I looked at my calendar. I'm like, oh yeah, I did this. Um, so um essentially I've been in the customer service contact center space for a little over 34 years now.
Wow.
You know, had no idea what I was going to do in college, and my boss said, so you're a history major, what are you going to do with your degree? I'm like, didn't want to go to law school, didn't want to work in a library, and didn't want to teach. Um, and so I'm like, let's go ahead and give this a shot. He's like, yeah, we're hiring for a supervisory position. Why don't you just go ahead I've been in love with the industry, since. Um, so what I do with Brohawk Solutions is I help companies align their people, processes, and technology to create a better employee experience, which ultimately leads to that impactful customer experience. And so what we do is we look at um, how hiring practices are impacted by the policies and procedures and their internal culture. And then
Mhm.
also, do they have the right technology in place to support a contact center? That's one of the key foundational elements of any customer service or um, call center organization is, um, are your agents properly supported with the tools and resources that they need to be successful? And that's where technology comes into place. Um,
In a very big
AI
way.
is Yeah, AI is one of those things, Valerie, that I kind of look back on my career um, and say, you know what, 30 plus years ago, the IVR was going to take all of our jobs and replace all humans, and everybody was just going to do things through the phone, by just pushing buttons. And we see how that's worked out. People hate IVRs, for the most part, because they're not intuitive. And what AI does is makes the tools and technology that's available to consumers a little bit more intuitive, so that the agents on the phone the agents that are answering the calls can really be focused on those more complex conversations that their customers are needing to have. So,
Right, right. So there's a lot to unpack in that.
oh
So,
yeah.
first of all, 34 years in the industry. It doesn't surprise me because this is the industry of care, and I know that you're a very caring person. But also, I think that it's interesting because now when you start to get into the decades worth of experience in the business, you see not only the technology dramatically change. And I think we're seeing the biggest explosion to date. And there's always something, just as you're saying. And there is a lot of
Hmm.
fear around AI and how companies will safely and responsibly employ AI and what that will look like. And there's fear around, particularly on organizations with staffing and the employment that you mentioned, that many companies now are afraid they're going to lose headcount because AI is the tool that, obviously based in a lot of the roots are in automation. So,
Yeah.
I think it's actually an interesting time because any information that can be automated should be. But
Hmm.
then the agent level will be the more sophisticated level of questions, which we've been talking about that for many, many years. But I think we're finally to the tipping point where that's going to be more of a reality. But there sure is a lot of fear out there around bringing AI solutions into the organization. And along with that, we're starting to see lawsuits, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yep.
which people are, and I've seen some in the millions of dollars already because of mistakes made by AI. So, when you're looking to bring AI and different solutions to your clients and the companies you work with, what are some of the ones that you know find the most useful or most impactful?
So I always, whenever I have that question with somebody, I always ask them before we even get started about the types of technology that they're looking for. What problem are you trying to solve?
Mhm.
You know, because AI is a huge umbrella. And it encompasses a lot of things. It can encompass process automation. It can, um, encompass some agent assist tools. It could, do some conversational and generative um, uh, things for both customers as well as agents. It can summarize,
Mhm.
conversations, be listening in on every conversation and be summarizing. It can create some sentiment analysis. So there's a lot as far as analytics. So I always first ask them, what is the problem that you're trying to solve, and why is this important for your business? Um, because if they can't off if they don't have a clear understanding of the what and the why, then it's more of a situation of FOMO, the fear of
Mhm.
missing out.
Mhm.
Everybody else is doing it, all the cool kids are doing it,
Exactly.
So let's go ahead and
Exactly.
just do something so that we can say that we're doing it. And typically what I see is the foundational elements to make AI successful are missing, most notably knowledge.
Mhm.
Um, if your knowledge isn't set correctly, if it's disjointed, tribal, anything like that, then your AI is gonna fail horribly. So,
I agree. I couldn't agree more. You should be based on a strong foundation of knowledge all the time.
yep,
So absolutely.
exactly.
So if you had to explain the concept, because I think AI means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and it's not a
Mhm.
one size fits all solution, and it's not the be all end all to every problem. So
Yep.
if you were to explain this to maybe your mother or your grandmother, how would you do it?
Well, if my mom actually listens to this at some point in time, I say this with all due respect, and um, I wouldn't even try to have that conversation with my mother about AI and what AI is. Um, in speaking, to someone that's not as familiar with the technology, compare it back to when calculators first came out, and you didn't have to. Um, add, 1 gazillion plus a trillion and figure out how, do the longhand. You had calculators that could do simple tasks, and you can get the answer back much faster. And then scientific calculators came out, and you could
Mm.
do more really cool things with calculators. And so that's the way I would explain it to them is look how much more efficient and accurate you became when you started having things like calculators at a base, and that usually kicks in for people. You try and explain all the nuances of what AI is and what it can do. People sometimes get the feeling, oh my God, the machines are taking over the world. Oh, and it's not what's happening. Um, it's making our lives more efficient, less hectic, so that we can focus on the things that really matter, in life. So,
Yeah, that's a great way to explain it with the calculator, because
mm,
technology keeps evolving. The only
yep.
issue is that it will give you any answer. It'll answer any question you ask it, but you have to make sure that it's the right answer. So there is definitely a human side of this because you can't just go with what the first answer and assume that it's correct. So you do have to validate all of the information that goes back to having that strong foundation of knowledge. So when you're implementing AI solutions for
Mhm.
your clients, what are some of the challenges that you've seen?
The biggest challenge, as I touched on already, is the foundational knowledge pieces aren't as complete. They're these really big knowledge articles,
Mm-hmm.
um, but they're not connected to all the customer touch points. And so as a result, um, if a customer calls in versus goes to the website versus uses the visual IVR or an IVR tool that they may be accessing. And if there's not consistency in the information that's being provided to the customer, um, that's the first thing that we want to take a look at. Then we also want to take a look at the technology that they're using. Does it have the ability um, to do multiple work streams? Or is it just is the technology that they're looking at only for a single work stream, and you'd have to buy several iterations of the same product? Your spend is going to be a lot more, et cetera, et cetera. So those are going to be the things that I'm going to look at. And again, going back to what problem are you trying to solve?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it important to the business? And what is the impact going to have on the agents and ultimately the customers by implementing this?
Yeah, and there's, tremendous gains to the bottom line that can be
Mhm.
had and realized right now, and the efficiencies. And it's a good time to just kind of make sure that there is that consistency across. It shouldn't matter how
Yep.
customers engage with you. It shouldn't matter what form that they want to. They should get the same answers across the board in an easy, seamless way. So that's the true omnichannel experience at its best. But you
Yep.
also have to be able to communicate along the different channels. And the communication piece is very different. It's different when you're in a chat. It's different when you're in an email. It's different. So the agent has to, and the technology needs to adopt to the platform.
And I think the customer expectations now is that a brand, a company, is needs to know who I am as their customer and what my needs are. Um, and so if you don't have your disparate systems actually connected in some way, shape, or form to create that customer persona that's tailored to me as that customer, it's not going to work out too well. That's becoming a bigger customer expectation because um, you call up the airlines. They already know who I am. They know what status level I'm at. Um, they tailor my experience to my travel as an example, and that's so important to create those personalized experiences. So.
I think just to add to that, around the why, but also, as consumers, we want to know if we're engaging with AI or if it's a real person or who's on the other side of this. And I think that's a genuine concern.
Mhm.
And I think that organizations should be very transparent with their consumers if they are engaging with AI. And if
Yes.
that's I think been a little bit of a rocky road so far to date. Because it's very, even when you get the spam calls and the bot calls, if that's a person, a
Oh
real live
yeah.
person or not. It's so obvious. And people don't, you want to know that you are getting the right information. And, I heard you mention visual IVR, and I know a guy.
Yeah. I know a guy. Hey, forget about it. Yeah, I mean, when visual IVR first came out, I mean, it was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I don't have to wait in line and stay on hold, and I can still get the same experience. Again, that's I'm a big fan of the Zappix tool. Since we're talking about Zappix, or we're on a Zappix call. Um, I'm a big fan of the tool and how it's evolved over the years. And I think that customers expect service
Mhm.
regardless of the time of day or the method, the channel that they choose to use. And where where I think uh, platforms like Zappix really hit the home run for companies is by creating a anytime, anywhere um, type of solution for the customers. Whether do I need to make a payment? Do I need to find out information um, about what my billing account looks like? And then be able to decide I want to make a payment. Uh, do I have a procedure coming up, in the very near term, and I'm getting nervous, and I have another question, and it's 2 in the morning. Who do I call? I call, the doctor, and rather than waiting on hold, I can get something texted to my phone, and it's going to allow me to have the information that I need to put my mind at rest. Uh,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, and I think in terms of the solution for healthcare that Zappix offers is truly like the pre and post patient journey is got so many different pieces that, not only educate the patient, support them, just as you're saying, if it's the middle of the night and you need to reference, if you're getting ready for procedure, if you need to do some prep things in advance, what does that really look like? So yeah, like that's absolutely one of the, you have to meet people where they're at, right?
That's what member or patient or customer experience is really all about, is meeting people where they're at, anticipating what their needs are going to be before they think that they are going to have those needs. You
Right,
know,
right, right, right. And then that's the whole journey, which
yes,
we're
yes.
doing a lot of work right now around no shows, like very
Hmm.
big problem, very, very big
Yep.
problem. We've seen some organizations with well into the double digits with no show rates. And when you can like take off and reduce that no show rate, the amount of money that you're able to recapture in terms of procedures that otherwise would have gone unperformed is in the millions and it adds up really quickly. So, um,
Well, and taking that one step further, Valerie, you know, when you have no-shows, what's happened? Essentially, another patient has had to put off a procedure or a visit that was important for them to another day. And so you need the proactive tools um, working in synergy to make sure that, hey, I have this patient that was trying to get into this slot. I need to be able to go ahead and get them now that I have an opening because somebody didn't show, or whatever, or has said that they need to cancel. But I mean, it has a ripple effect on perception of practices. Um, that
massive.
is yeah, it's truly unfair to the providers, in my opinion, because they're scheduling people as they need to. Now there may be a wait or something within, once you get in, because of the complexity of a patient situation, but the no-show rates, I mean, it creates a reputational risk for a provider or practice.
Totally, but there's more to it, I think, too, and that's something that we've been taking a look at is really the drivers behind the no-shows.
Yeah.
Like, is it just
Hmm.
they just forgot? Did they
Yeah.
were they not able to park? Were they not able to find the office if it's a very big hospital system and a massive size campus? Like, there's a lot of things that can contribute to that. So trying to understand that's something that we're doing more work around as well to really analyze the reasons and are there ways that we can help and then just put on the Zappix tool, ways to make the appointment reminders simpler, to have the directions clearer, but also to allow a lot of flexibility with rescheduling right through the app too. So,
Yeah. There's so much untapped opportunity about what can be connected together
mm,
um, because of AI, and the power that AI provides, practices or other brands or organizations that you wouldn't even been thinking about years ago. As an example, my GPS. Never lost Nancy, I call her. And she'll tell me the right way to get to wherever I need to be. Um, what if that type of GPS navigation was tied to an hour or 2 hours before an appointment and was telling people, hey, you may need to telling someone, hey, may need to leave 30 minutes early because there's a traffic jam on this route, which is normally your best route. It's going to take you a little bit longer. Proactive communication back out to the patients to make their experience a little bit easier. Because as we all know, uh, being from New England as well, I love the Boston traffic, not so much.
Yeah, yeah, no one's ever said that ever, not one
No,
time.
exactly. So being able to meet your consumers where they're at, or meet your patients where they're at, and where you need to get them to be. So,
Right, right. And I think that also goes back to the theme we talked on early, the concept of care and providing that care that's
yep,
driven through all of patient experience. So Mark, it was awesome chatting with you today. I want to thank you for your time. And
always great talking with you, Valerie.
and I look forward to Mark, if you don't know, runs has a great organization in the Austin area. The Austin Contact Center Alliance is a phenomenal organization. They host an annual symposium event every fall. It's coming up quick. Anything you want to add on about that?
Oh, it is coming up. You okay if I share the date?
Sure.
September 19th. That's in less than 4 weeks.
Wow.
And it is here in Austin, Texas. We have speakers coming in from all over the country, from
Awesome.
Boston, from Southern California, from Minnesota, from Florida, and there's never a competition between for us. There's no competition between, oh, I really want to go to this session, but I have a competing session because all we do is panel discussions, and you get to interact with all the panelists throughout the day. And then
It's
we'll
a lot
offer
of
you a
fun.
happy hour at the end. So,
It's a lot
and
of fun.
Valerie, you're leading us off as well, with the Women in Leadership Breakfast,
I
which is
am.
amazing. You do an amazing job with that. So
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to that this year. I'm really looking forward to it. Had a great time last time around with the panel, and I'm excited. I'm going to be talking all about the power of community at that
I
Women's
love it.
Leadership Breakfast, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, Mark, thank you so much. Always a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.